Well, Deante Kyle,
Yes, sir.
welcome to Georgia Followers.
Man, appreciate you for having me, bro.
No, we appreciate having you, man. We are big time supporters of the Grits and Egg podcast. Shout out to your partner. He here too. He's
Yeah.
always off cam. But
Always behind the camera, big ice
Yes.
cup cat, man, my dog.
Yes. No, we appreciate it. Shout out to Dutch too for making it happen.
My dog Dutch, man. Yo,
Yes.
Ting-a-ling-a-ling. He gonna know what I mean.
What is
by
that? That his calling?
He gonna know what I mean. He gonna be mad too.
Nah, man, but we appreciate it, man. So we definitely wanted to sit down, kind of just ask you some questions about you, the Grits and Egg podcast, and talk about a lot of things happening around Atlanta and the world.
For sure.
Cool. Well, last time, as you know, we talked about it a little bit when you got here. We had Dr. Umar here.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of first wanted to know, when someone like Dr. Umar acknowledges publicly about your podcast, what does that say about the power of long-form conversation right now?
I think it's real, you know what I mean? I respect Umar for that too. I always respected Umar and what his messaging was. I think we all can get a little caught up in the internet. The internet will take people and create an identity for them, especially for people who haven't previously been exposed to them. I've been hip to Umar since Hidden Colors. So a lot of things that I learned about Black Americans and African history came from Dr. Umar. So, as he built a following online, I think it's kind of hard to keep a mystique about yourself, especially when you're doing lives and things like that, and then people take a clip and try to turn you into whatever it is they want you to be. But I respect Dr. Umar a lot for the knowledge that he done provided to the community. Always kind of being forthright and standing up about what he believe in. And him, shouting us out, that was major, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because as I start on this path of just learning more and researching more and really knowledge itself, he was integral to that. So, long form is gonna make or break, you know what I mean? Anybody can show up in 15, 30-second clips and say whatever it is, but long form, it really gonna expose who you are. So if you ain't really about what you saying, you'll run out quick, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I'm just grateful that we done created and cemented ourselves as a staple in the culture and, a source of truth and, power.
Cool, yeah. Dr. Umar obviously had good things to say about you, and I wanted to make it very clear to him and the people that's watching. I know y'all messages are different, but still in that same empowerment of Black people.
Absolutely.
So
we need a diversity of Black thought. It's not going to all be the same thing. Everybody got different lived experiences. So at the end of the day, the goal is to uplift and put emphasis on Black people, and not only what our contributions to America has been, but the contributions globally, and that it's a rich history that's not all trauma and torment, but there's a richness in it that's about creative and ingenuity and innovation and invention and just passing knowledge, creating civilization in itself. That's just real. So I think no matter where we arrive on our journey, as long as it's the upliftment and, ultimately the liberation of Black people, I'm in line with you. I'm a rock with you.
Right. Now, for people discovering you through moments like that, through Umar, obviously shouting you out, how do you explain what you actually do without leaning on titles?
I think the thing is I would never really explain what I do. I mean, I'm really serious about people doing their own research. If you want to know what I do, go research it, go watch the episode. A lot of people watch clips, but we got a 2-hour show. And out of the clips, you maybe get 15 to 20 minutes of each show. And you're not even getting some of the best parts sometimes. Sometimes it's just more so what's relevant and things like that. I would say our show is centered around the Black American experience. It's centered around the history of black people in America. It's centered around the traumas that kind of linger, the causes and effects of things like the crack era, Reconstruction, our contributions, like I said before, our inventions, our innovations, the improvements, but also just the plight of Black Americans in general. And I'm here to uplift, I'm here to connect, build community. I don't really seek to become popular through engagement farming or rage baiting or just doing things for clicks. I think the truth is enough to get clicks. So we try to keep this shit integral, keep it honest. Most of the things that I say you can date back historically. If you can't date it historically, then it's through my own lived experience.
Woo! Firstly, thank you for watching. Want to shout out Smith P. Austin from the last interview. He won the $1,000 and the iPhone 17. This week, we're giving away another $1,000. And look, all you got to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we're going to pick a lucky subscriber to win this $1,000. Hey, thank you for watching. We appreciate it.
Got it. Now, when was the first time you realized your voice was reaching people outside of your immediate circle?
I had like a couple of criticisms about capitalism while I was driving trucks. I had really popped off on TikTok first. So my critiques of capitalism was basically about like how, man, I went and got me a trade. Everybody say like, when you drive trucks, you know what I'm saying? Like, truck drivers make a lot of money, and I was making good money, but the way that the economy was shifting and like inflation, it was like, damn, will I ever be able to own a house? And like, am I ever gonna be able to put my kids through college? Like, is it cost effective for me to have a car note? Like things like that. Like the things that a stable life and like a sufficient wage, you wouldn't have to question these things. But I was just having like a lot of criticisms about hustling, and like everybody was talking about get all these different streams of income and get a side hustle, and like my whole shit was like, damn, I can't just have my job, you know what I'm saying, and spend time with my family. I gotta basically work myself to the bone just to have enough, just to get by. And like, my criticisms of that, like that hustle culture, hyper-capitalism over materialism, that's how I kind of came up, discussing those things and like really discussing how they affect the everyday person. Like, overconsumption is a thing that we get caught up into where we try to replace materials with voids that we feel that we don't, voids that we feel in the world. Like, maybe these clothes will make me feel important, maybe this car make me feel important. But the reality is like capitalism only value you off of your labor and what you can produce. And we're not here to just be like a labor force. We humans, and we here to like live and actually thrive and like enjoy life. But every part of our life has been commodified to the point where even childbirth is a commodity. Mm-hmm. The most natural thing, like the reason we're all here is a commodity. Like people are having to make decisions on whether do I have a child or not. You understand what I'm saying? You know how crazy that is?
Absolutely.
In like a world where like that's ran by humanity, where like our whole purpose here is to reproduce, gather resources. Like, fuck, what resources? Like to the point where people ain't got enough resources where they don't even want to reproduce. Like something that's genetically like in our code, like it's an impulse, it's a natural impulse. And like people are having to go against like their natural impulses and like instincts to survive in this unnatural world. And like my criticisms of that is what really brought me a lot of notoriety. So, this was way before the podcast. It's like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, and a lot of times we speak about capitalism, but we kind of been, as any adult, I've been engulfed in capitalism for. I mean,
it's the game.
It's the game, right? My whole life.
It's not something you can escape. It's just something to be aware of. You know what I mean? I think that there's oftentimes like people think when there's a critique of something that you have to like completely do away with it. But like, what we gonna do? All move into the woods and live off the land? Do you know how they treat people who do shit like that? So like, you don't want to. Nobody is of any sane mind is gonna ostracize themselves from society. But I think that learning about other systems and the effectiveness of socialism amongst a society, everybody always talking about the end of the world, but like anytime you talk about a commune, on some 28 days later or whatever, Walking Dead type shit, that's communism. You know what I'm saying? Like a commune is literally the root word of that. So I think that just exploring other systems of society and things like that doesn't necessarily negate the fact that you participate in capitalism. But exploring other ways also will show you how to like value your time and your production and your labor. You know, Labor Day is due to unions and people protesting against these big corporations who was basically like stealing all their time. And child labor laws, like a lot of things, we look at it like it's a day off, but it's literally people unionizing to, you know, gain the rights of their production and they labor, and how much time they put into that versus how much they receive from it. So, you know, we would still have children working in factories if it weren't for Labor Day. We would still be working 70 hours a week nonstop and living in company towns if it weren't for Labor Day. So I think just being more aware of your history and like what role you play in this society. It don't gotta just be labor for labor's sake. You have power and control, but if you don't recognize yourself as a part of a collective and you only own an individual plight, then you know you're gonna be stuck on that hamster wheel.
Now I might be jumping into our conversation a little further, but because I'm gonna come back to that.
That's smooth.
I'm gonna come right back to that because I want to first ask you kind of where, you know, because I know speaking out like that, right? People become like like against the system. You know, they so systemically brainwashed. They're like, oh, you speaking against it and you standing on it. So how did you know when you was gonna obviously stand on what you were saying? Like, you know, even with the backlash, you know, because I'm sure you got backlash at some point. Like, what kept you kind of motivated through that time?
I'm 35, bro. I've been talking like this since I was 23, 24 years old. So I ruin a good time, bro, quick. You did what I'm saying? I would ruin the party.
For sure.
Yeah, we are in here. What are we celebrating, brother?
Absolutely.
What are we like? Because you know, when you first come into like a knowledge of self or like quote unquote woke, like when you become woke, it really ain't nothing else to talk about. So you know, that should have ruined a good time. I had to like really sit in isolation a lot because I don't want to hang out with y'all. Cause like y'all talking about rappers and what they wearing, I'm like, that shit ain't interesting to me, bro. Like, look at what happened to us. I want to talk about the Move Group, you know, in John Africa, and like what that was. I want to talk about Fred Hampton and the Rainbow Coalition. I want to talk about James Baldwin and his literature or his conversation with Nikki Giovanni. I want to talk about like all this shit, all of our history, and like, why ain't we talking about that? Why are we talking about the ignorant shit that's going on today that just is like really just making us billboards and puppets for big corporations? Like, that ain't nothing to celebrate. I don't get excited when I see a nigga with a t-shirt with a big name brand across of it.
Right.
Because like, it's a t-shirt. And you supposed to be better than me because you paid more for it? That's supposed to be a sign of wealth? And it's like, you don't own that shit. A lot of this shit, even if you are a rapper, you don't own your masters. You don't own your music. You ain't putting together the tours. So like a lot of the shit we were celebrating was us making other people rich, and being billboards and like puppets for that, so to speak. You stuck in that contract, you in the red, you pretty much gotta come, you know, like, you know, we don't know what kind of deals you cutting back behind them doors. I wasn't never really interested in that, especially a nigga that used to sell drugs. Like, I used to sell drugs, bro. I used to rob niggas. If I can reform myself from that, then none of that shit exciting. And I wanna know what the fuck made me think that shit was cool in the first place. Because I wasn't really doing nobody no good. I was harming myself. I was harming everybody around me. I was putting my mama in a constant state of stress. You know, that shit didn't feel good once you come to terms with that. You know what I mean? And like, I got duped. You know, I got duped. I thought some shit was cool that was really like ultimately destructive and like was only meant to destroy me. So, you know, how do we undo that path? How do we undo that, like, that path, that pathology of thinking? And like, how do I reach to somebody that's younger than me before they even get to make the mistakes? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you fast track somebody past the bullshit and into abundance? That's really my whole shit. This is why we advocate for trades the way we do. Cause I really feel like I ain't really get my shit together until I was 28, 29.
Yeah.
And that's when I got into a trade. I could have did that shit at 18.
Yep.
You did what I'm saying?
Yep.
And yeah, I would have made some mistakes still, but I wouldn't have been making mistakes with my freedom. I wouldn't have been risking my future. I wouldn't have been hurting my mama. I wouldn't be like, I was hurting a lot of people that love me, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I was hurting a lot of people that I ain't know. I don't know the psychological effects of shit that I did to people. I don't know how they living with that. I know that I had to forgive myself for it, but I know that that doesn't undo the shit that I did. So, you know, a lot of this time too is just repair. Like, as much as it is about, you know, me kind of rebranding and, you know, reinventing myself, it's like repair too. Like, I gotta repair. You know, I can't undo the shit that I did, but I can do better by everybody I meet in the future and by myself. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think I ain't never been scared to ruin the mood, bro. I'm a ruin the vibe, bro. Fuck all that. We celebrating dumb shit.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, it's like a lot of times people be talking and they talking conspiracy and they talking, you know, just like tantalizing things that just sound good and it's good for a conversation, but they ain't rooted in no truth. It don't got no history behind it. They just some shit a nigga throwing on the wall and seeing what stick. Like, I don't want to do that. Let's really, like, it's some stuff that really happened in our past that's truth, that can be proven. That's a lot more bizarre than the fiction shit that y'all make up. And like, we living in the effects of those things.
Yep.
The reason why we are who we are presently is because of our history and our past and how these things affected us. And we need to talk about that. Because if we want to fix our situation, if we want to really liberate ourselves, we'll liberate ourselves through knowledge. Because once you understand what has happened to you before, you can prevent it from happening again, but you also see how it shaped who you are presently and how your community is shaped around the present. And I want to talk about that. That's exciting to me. So standing on the truth right now, I mean, like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do to me? Nothing. You gonna make a video? You gonna stitch? What you gonna say I'm canceled? That shit don't mean nothing to me. Them niggas don't have no power over me. Nobody. The only person that got power over me is me. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I go to bed good. I sleep well. You know what I'm saying? I sleep deep. I have great dreams. And I take care of the people that's in my life and the people that support me. And regardless, as long as I know that I'm standing on truth and I'm standing on like something that I can actually prove, something that I lived through, something I can go show you, then I'm comfortable. Like, regardless of whether you disagree or not, you ain't stating no articulable disagreement. You just don't like that I said the shit.
Correct.
What you gonna do about that?
Correct.
Nothing. Nothing. They ain't gonna do shit. So it ain't no consequences to that shit. The only consequence come from what? You ain't gonna get a sponsorship. You ain't gonna fuck them people too. To be honest. Whoever done took me off of that whiteboard, guess what? Somebody else write me on there.
Absolutely.
Whatever's for me, I'ma get it. I ain't tripping on none of that.
So I mean, and I appreciate that because we don't respect that a lot these days. We ride the wave. We follow kind of what's being said. You know, more of us are about the greater good of all versus like what's right. You know, sometimes it may not involve everybody, you know, receiving that benefit. So, and you speak about, I want to go back to when you talked about James Baldwin, you talk about movements that we could learn from and or, you know, where it got lost, where we kind of lost those recipes past food. We lost the recipes of being the, you know, the literature, being the writers, being the novels, you know, being the stories that we were back then and sharing kind of, you know, our knowledge with the world and how we see the world. Which takes me to like, how do you feel about like Black History Month? Given that we here in Black History Month today, it's been viewed differently, you know,
It's
in these
important
past few years.
because without it, it'll be erased. So I get it, not wanting your history to be relegated to a month, but even now the conversation is having where people trying to make it about all Black people and they trying to lump in immigrants and everything with that. And I'm not one of these like anti-diaspora niggas. I ain't one of these like, you know, quote unquote FBA niggas. I do fall under the definition of FBA, but I don't fall under that as in like a movement or a group of like constantly separating myself from other Black people regardless of where they was born. My thing is this, Black American history is extremely important. Like, this country wasn't built by immigrants, this shit was built by slaves, slave labor, and the genocide of natives. That's period, point blank, that's full stop.
Absolutely.
So it ain't nothing else to talk about. And then even when we have, you know, Carter G. Woodson presenting Negro History Week, it was to celebrate Black Americans' contributions to this. And this was like during Reconstruction era, this is like maybe 30 years after, 30 to 50 years after the abolishment of slavery. So we talking about the history of people who were previously enslaved in America. This ain't about nobody that's coming here to pursue the American dream, right? And then what's the president's name? Was it Gerald Ford? Yeah. Gerald Ford that turned it into Black History Month because he said that we need to acknowledge the history of Black Americans, African Americans' contributions to this country. So that shit is about us. And the more you try to dilute it, the more you try to all lives matter that shit, it's gonna create erasure. And honestly, like, I respect anybody who first gen, second gen, who people came over here for a better opportunity. But the knowledge, the fact of the matter is this: without Black Americans' contributions to the civil rights movement, without us putting our bodies on the line, our blood on the line, and sacrificing freedoms and everything else, without those contributions, there ain't no rights to enjoy over here.
Correct.
There ain't no American dream for you. So I think that it's extremely important to acknowledge the contributions that Black Americans have contributed to this country and the inventions that we've created that benefit people worldwide. You dig what I'm saying? Like, we talking about the convenience of people worldwide.
Yep.
We talking about shit like FaceTime.
Yep.
We talking about refrigerator trucks,
The
air brake
internet.
systems.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
things that are extremely important, like Lewis Latimer and the filament for the light. Like, there ain't no lights on me without Lewis Latimer. Granville T. Woods, like, bruh, it's people that like really changed the world that came out of slavery. That shit don't got nothing to do with nothing else. Like, that shit needs to be acknowledged. And if you have an issue with Black Americans centering ourselves in our history, and you don't want to acknowledge that, then like, shit, you basically doing the same shit that white supremacists do. Try not to acknowledge our history, try to dilute or water it down or erase it. You know, it is very specific, and it is a very specific group that sacrificed and contributed to that, and that should be acknowledged. And when anybody else go to celebrate themselves, we don't step on that shit. We let you have that. So like, let us have our shit. It's more important now than ever because people want to erase it, because books are being banned, because history is being revised. You know, you know, the situation with Shabuzi where he's saying like this country was built by immigrants, that's some bullshit. It's just not true. You know what I mean? Immigrants have contributed to this society, but you know, we talking about that in the last 75 years. When we talking about 470 years of Black American history, that we forced migration, enslavement. This is like human trafficking. If we chalk that up to immigration, then we chalk that up to it being a choice. Then we do away with the atrocities committed by the Spaniards and the Europeans. And I'm not going for that shit, period. So yeah, it's a very important. And we should celebrate it every day, but if there's been a month dedicated to that for that specific cause, that need to stay instated.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Prize Picks. Prize Picks. Prize Picks. Prize Picks. Download the app now. Use code GA followers. Play $5 and get $50 back in lineups. That sounds like a deal to me. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Prize Picks. Play $5, get $50 instantly in lineup. Use code GA followers.
I will tell you how I first got introduced to you. I obviously caught you on Instagram, but I'm a firm reader. I've read a lot of Black history books. You talk about the FBA, you talk about James Baldwin. You know, I almost majored in Black history in college. So
yeah, for sure.
I enjoy it. And I enjoy it because it is about the enrichment of our people. It is about the knowledge of self. And it's about, you know, learning what your contributions are in this world, because we matter just like anybody else.
Absolutely. It's a point of pride, too.
Yeah.
Man. You know, you got to know that you got a rich history.
For sure. And I wanted to acknowledge when I first kind of acknowledged you, because I thought you had a very clever way of your thinking about, you know, what we should be focused on. And in this world today, with the conspiracy theories, the YouTube, and you got all these different ideologies of who we should be turned into, you say we need to focus on the last 40 years. And I thought that was so impactful because we get wide and too much on what we should be focused on when we talk about the progression of black people.
Yeah.
And I definitely side with you when you say the last 40 years instead of these ancient identity debates. So my question is, why is that window the most honest way to measure black progress?
The last 40 to 50 years is the crack epidemic, the war on drugs. If you go look, a lot of times when black people talk about the black community, when they talk about tight-knitness, when they talk about the family unit, when they talk about, us owning our own businesses, what they're talking about is pre-desegregation, right? And a lot of those movements happened pre-crack era too. The Civil Rights Movement, the Black Panther Movement, the Black Empowerment Movement, period. All of that was squandered due to the war on drugs. So this is when we get an increase, not only level of addiction, but we get breakdown of family dynamics, right? One person in your family being addicted to crack will literally ruin your whole family. So not to talk about multiple people being in your family addicted to this shit, ruining your family, but we talking about mothers and fathers. And we talking about an increased rate of incarceration amongst men. We talking about women who have been, like, the women who raised America, black women who raised America, not only had to sacrifice their family units at time and give up their kids to raise white people kids, but up until probably about 20 years prior to the crack epidemic, we're still raising white people children. The mothers of America were addicted to drugs and completely abandoning their children. So the breakdowns of businesses, the breakdown of black trust, the breakdown of black love, exploiting our community for our own profit. All of these things happen in this thing where we also get an onset of all of these things, all these organizations that were once here to protect us have now become warring factions and gangs predicated on violence and drug trade, right? So we enriching ourselves off of the destruction of ourselves. All of that shit, the reason why a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old want to walk around in a shiesty mags is because of the crack era. It's literally because of that.
Absolutely.
Tupac, Thug Life, that's from the crack era. You know what I'm saying? We talking about somebody whose mother was a Black Panther, and then even though you was a crack fiend, you shouldn't be, that shit don't even make sense to go with Black Panthers. But this is also Ronald Reagan and a full-scale CIA operation. It was a declaration of war on the black community. It was a chemical warfare. It's important to not only describe it as that, but to look at the effects that it had. When we talk about, we don't do business with each other, we don't do this, it's because we learned how to hustle. Instead of doing business, we became hustlers. So we just looking for the quick flip. We're looking for instant gratification. They'll talk about Tetwood and going to get a breakdown. You can go spend $50 and come up on $200 in a day. So you do that 5 times in one day. As addicted as people are to crack, you just came up on a wreck. Now you can go buy your own ounce. You in the game off of $50. You dig what I'm saying? So we talking about something that completely obliterated our community in every aspect. How we deal with each other in terms of love, parental dynamics. This is the first time you got kids fuck my mama, fuck my daddy. You think about that, that's a powerful thing, bro.
Yeah.
And it just fucked everything up, literally. And we ain't to blame for that, but we did participate in it. And you participate in things out of pure desperation. Because best believe before they did it to us, they did it on rats. This ain't nothing they just thought was gonna work. This is science. They knew this shit was gonna work because they know how humans behave. They got the top sociologists, the top anthropologists, the top psychologists. They got these people working to figure this shit out, bro. You can pay $1.5, $2 million a year. You ain't never gonna get that teaching that shit at no college. It's war. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to describe it as that or not, that's what it is. It's chemical warfare. Because if you did that shit to another group of people, that's what you'll call it. But because it was done to America's own people, or 3/5 of their own people, whatever the case may be, yeah, they don't look at it like that. But look at the results. That shit is crazy. You dig what I'm saying? That shit is utterly, it's mind blowing to think about all of the things that we lost in 40 years. This is why niggas want to talk about the Grand Canyon and aliens and shit like that, because you want to disassociate, because the reality is hard to cope with. That shit is fucked up. You know what I mean? And it fucked us up. And a lot of people don't know how to recover from that shit. I got a sister right now strung out on drugs. And she strung out on drugs because her mama was strung out on drugs. We don't got the same mama. You dig what I'm saying? The only reason she my sister is because her mama was strung out on drugs. So we talking about also epigenetic shit. Like, she was predisposed to being on drugs and alcohol, bro. Like, that shit deep, bro. That shit crazy. And that ain't nothing to ignore. But I think we ignore it because it's more tantalizing, it's more entertaining. It's funner to think about bullshit. Cause you tell me I could walk to Africa through the Grand Canyon, you can't prove that shit. You ain't never did it. You just theorizing, and it sound good.
There's so many theories they got.
It just feel good, bro.
Yeah.
But what you really doing is detaching from reality.
Absolutely.
And like, cause reality is enough, bro. You don't need science fiction, nigga. Reality is enough.
Right.
That shit fucked up all on its own.
Every room you walk in.
Bro, come on, man. Yeah, and you know, I get it, bro. I like entertainment just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? But I like reality a lot more.
Correct.
Like, reality is that one. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think that we doing any benefit to ourselves, but like creating theories and shit online, like, you know, like just like this Epstein stuff, right? That's not stuff that people really like to talk about, and I don't know if that's like off limits for y'all.
Ain't nothing off
But
limits.
here's the thing. The Epstein shit is about what? What they say in there is we talking about child and human sex trafficking. We talking about murder, we talking about rape, and we also talking about organized crime ring, right?
Yep.
We also talking about cannibalism and all type of shit like that. If you do any type of like, just zoom out 250 years, all that shit was happening during slavery. That's what slavery is, human trafficking. Your daughter turned 12, as soon as she spot and get her period, you send her off to a breeding plantation. As soon as your son go through puberty, you send him off to a breeding plantation. That's child sex trafficking. The Delectable Negro, that's a human cookbook. All this shocking and appalling shit people be talking about already happened to black people.
Yep.
So yeah, like, it ain't fun to talk about, and it's cool to theorize about it, like, oh, all of our global elites. Nigga, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, George Washington,
All
Andrew
slave
Jackson,
owners.
all them niggas was global elites at that point too. They was participating in the same shit. How you
Absolutely.
build something is how you sustain it. It's just not fun to talk about because maybe your favorite celebrity implicated, but fuck them too. That shit ain't cool. That ain't nothing to aspire to. That shit is blackmail. That's why they got you to participate in it. They ain't got you on footage and you on a compromised position. You're gonna do whatever I tell you to do. So 40 billion to Israel.
Yeah.
There you go. You compromise. What you gonna do? Say no? Nigga, topple this whole government.
Yeah, we too focused on the celebrity stories, and we too focused on what somebody doing ain't got nothing to do with you. But the same plight they putting on him, we went through as actual people. Same one.
And I mean, if you know, there has to be a root of truth to it, because the thing is, as humans, we ain't that creative. The only thing that we normally can create off of is our lived experiences, right? So like everybody, you know, like when people talk about dreams and they talk about the man with the hat, like sleep paralysis and shit like that, why do everybody have that story? It's because it's from experience. It's not some shit we making up. These are things from experience. Now, what you do with that character when you go create a movie based on fiction is what you do. You dig what I'm saying? But we not pulling shit out the sky, bro. Like, we not that creative, bro. You know, a lot of these stories that we hear are told time and time again throughout history as folklore, whatever the case may be. So if you want to tell me about what's going on Epstein Island, I'm telling you it already happened. It's literally what created the West. The West, as you know it, is built and sustained by the shit that you talking about happening on this island. So it's not out the realm of possibility for me, nigga. I already know that they did it. So of course they still doing it, nigga. That's nothing new. And if you tell me you putting them in compromising positions for blackmail, that's, usually how people maintain power. It's by putting you in a compromise. You gonna do this because, hey, I got this picture of you. The mob do that to niggas. The mob used to do that to politicians all the time. Send a girl in the room, have them in there ball gagged up in a compromising position.
Yep.
This is a man with a wife and a child and a Christian man, and we got you on photo, ball gagged up with the gimp mask on. You look crazy. This you though. We got the footage. So yeah, we need you to pass this bill. If they can do that, if the mob can do it, nigga, what you think? Intelligence agencies will do it. Like, this ain't out the realm of possibility. It's just the thing is, it's like, it is a lot more tantalizing to talk about it as fiction or as what if. And when the reality come out, ain't nothing gonna change. America has never protected women or children. What is gonna start doing that for now?
I agree. Yep, I agree. I said the same thing about the Epstein files. It's like, we just want to be right about something. And I'm like, it's not gonna change anything. You know, I don't think nobody's gonna be more advocacy out there for child trafficking.
Children get killed by the hundreds every year in this country in schools. That ain't doing nothing to change these gun laws.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this kind of leads into my next question, which conversation in the black culture are over debated right now, and what should we be debating instead?
I don't know. I think that we should also go back and research, like, you know, like when I talk about the 40 years and I talk about love and relationship dynamics and family dynamics, if we go inquire about that and really see how those things play out, if we look at the psychological effects of Jim Crow and slavery on people and how it makes people feel powerless, oftentimes people go and search for power wherever they can find it. So if I go out all day and I'm being called nigga this and nigga that and boy and this shit like that, the only place I might feel powerful at is my home. And that's where we get granddaddy getting drunk and beating on grandma. And then you fast forward 75 years and everybody want to talk about relationship dynamics and what their ideal relationship is, and a very few of us have experienced healthy relationship dynamics due to Jim Crow, due to war on drugs. This shit was intended to break the family down and to create people who felt weak to the system. So anytime we go to talking about relationships, I'm just out. As a man, you should. As a woman, you should. Gender role, woo-woo-woo, traditional, woo-woo-woo, any of that shit, I'm out. Whatever two people got to do to make themselves happy in spite of, I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, it's extremely objective, like, or subjective, because the way you love ain't the way I love. We wasn't even raised on the same type of love. People don't be having the same experiences. People, you know, if this person raised in a two-parent household, this person raised by their grandma, and they come together, they got to figure out what's going to work for them if they really want to be in love with each other. You can't tell a person, but they going to have two different experiences of love. So they was raised on different love, they received love different, they express love different, and then they get on the internet and you telling them what love is. You can shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's just something to talk about. And you know what it is? It's good for engagement. You know why? Because everybody going to defend themselves, because there's no linear way to be loved. There's no linear way to experience love. There's no way to, there's no traditional way to have a relationship. We talking about two people that come together to create a life together. Whatever they do to make that relationship a happy, healthy, and long-lasting relationship is up to them. There ain't no strategy. There ain't no blueprint to this shit. But it is good for engagement because everybody's gonna disagree. Because everybody has been loved different, everybody expressed love different, everybody received love different. And you telling me you a love coach. When the fuck they start coaching that? That makes it a game. Yep. So anytime we start any relationship talk, anytime we start any gender wars, I'm out. Like, let's chop that. I'm getting there with diaspora wars too. Because we're really arguing about who was colonized the best, and I'm cool on that too. All us talking about this shit in English, I'm good. That's why I fall under the term of FBA. I am a foundational Black American due to the definition that they did. Like, my history is here in America, and it date back to enslavement and chattel slavery, right? That's my history. All I know is here. All I represent is here. I love everything about my history. I love everything about me and my people. I love everything about all of our contributions. It's a rich history, and I'm extremely proud of it. But arguing with niggas who went through the same thing because they come over here colonized, they come over here colonized and talk just like the people that, I mean, we got our own colonized people. We just call them coons. But we still got people who want to assimilate into whiteness and still like use white supremacist talking points and shit like that. Just because you come over here from somewhere else saying that it don't make me no difference. There's a lot of people who come over here and respect our plight here. There's a lot of people who give us our credit and just due and give us our respect for the contributions and the history and sacrifices that we made too. And if we're not going to acknowledge the people who do show us love the way we want to be shown love, then we can't make all of our attention go towards the people who don't. Because that's how you get what you don't want. You get more of it because that's what you're paying attention to. So like, I'm not arguing with coons, whether you from Barbados or whether you from Birmingham, bro. I'm not arguing with no coon. I'm not going back and forth with you. All y'all got the same complex. Y'all colonized, and you colonized in your mind. So diaspora wars is there, and like, you know, the thing with the FBA and the reason why they be mad at me sometimes is like, bro, y'all online being divisive all day. I never see y'all arguing with anything that's for the enrichment of black people. All of it is divisive, and it's pointing out other black people that if you ask a racist to tell you the difference, would they be able to? So you arguing about who got the better colonizer, I'm cool on that. But I support all of you. And I represent what I represent. But it's not a gang, bruh. You know, I'm not a patriot to America, brothers. America did my people dirty as fuck. Not finna be out here gang for America. They got me fucked up. Nigga made 1776, niggas wrote every man created equal. Why they had me enslaved, bro? I'm cool on that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not repping that. These same folks just enacted a chemical war on me 40 years ago. Now I'm gang for these niggas over some reparations that you're not gonna get, bro. I don't wanna hear that shit.
Now, do you think social media activism has failed us, or has it genuinely worked?
Everything is gonna be pro and con. You know, as good as it is as bad as it is. That's the thing we have to realize about life in general. Like, the extremes are forever present. You know what I mean? So as bad as it's been for us is on the opposite side as good as it's been for us and everything in the middle. You know what I mean? It is very divisive. It's also very unifying. That's just life. That everything's going to exist in those extremes. You got to figure out what you're going to give your attention to, what extreme you're going to give your attention to. Because all of that shit, first of all, this is not grade school. You know what I mean? So the people who need an IEP are on the internet too, without that classification.
That's the fact, though. That's a fact.
So we don't know the education level. We also are arguing with people who are not that intelligent. We also are arguing with Russian bots. We got to be mindful of this type of shit. You know, I fall for it every now and then because it's like, it's human, bro. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. Like, that's stupid as fuck. I got to correct that. But it's like, you got to slow yourself down. You know what I'm saying? Especially on text-based apps like Twitter and Threads, like, you just got to be mindful. Like, you could be arguing with a bot. Right. You know what I'm saying? From India or Russia. But follow the people who are putting themselves out there and advocating in the spaces that you also advocate for. Those are the extremes that exist that are extremely unifying. And then you have to also understand that people get paid on the internet. So some people are just gonna be on there being trolls. They get paid to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's their avenue. And attention is attention, right? If I'm seeking attention, the natural instinct is to want the good attention. But some people get used to bad attention too. And they go for it. That's a badass child in school. Get straight A's, never get acknowledged for it. Start getting in trouble in class and always get acknowledged for it. Well, that's how I get my attention now. I guess I gotta get in trouble to get some attention. That's what people do online. They probably was out there trying to put their best foot forward. Charleston White, perfect example. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. He was out here advocating for the community, and he said when he put on the character of Charleston White, that's when everybody started paying attention. Attention. It's the currency online.
He speaks to that a lot.
It's a currency.
And he's done the work too.
That's why you would get confused with niggas like that, because like he's saying some good shit, but he gotta commit to the bullshit, because if he don't, he'll lose the attention. He know that. Now he had a sweet spot where he could have went full righteous, but he was already committed to the bit, bro. And once you committed to the bit,
yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I say that all the time. Like Charleston White had a trajectory to go.
He had a pocket right there.
It was real
he
good,
could have really
too. Yep.
he could have really like hit the gas and enacted some change.
Yeah.
But he was already committed to the bit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see Stone Cold be a nice guy. Not until he retire.
Yep.
I don't want to see Kurt Angle if he ain't on them perks. Not until he retire. I want to see the character. And since he believed in his character so much, he committed to the character. I don't got that problem because I ain't no motherfucking character. But I'm also, it should be proof to people that you can just cut through by being yourself. You don't got to put on no like facade. But we got to also understand we sharing the internet with people who believe they do. So it's just really, it's your algorithm, bro. It's about what you pay attention to. Whatever you pay attention to is what you're going to get the most of. So we human, we impulsive, we react to things, but we also got to be slow to react and slow to anger about certain things because we can't get a lot of positivity and enrichment. If you're on TikTok all day and you haven't hit that STEM tab once, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to learn something while you're online. You need to learn something more than gossip.
Yep. Now, I will say, like, why does, and you answered a little bit about this, but why does truth-telling feel like an attack in black culture right now?
You know, to be honest, I don't know. I've never been a person, I was raised not to be afraid to be wrong. I was raised that like the only way that you know that you learning is if you is wrong about something.
Correct.
Or if you like willing to take on a different perspective and being able to take on a new perspective and admit like, oh, I should reshape my perspective. New information should bring forth a new thought pattern, a new perspective. Like that, literally how you grow is from new perspectives. And I think a lot of times everybody just want to be right. So truth-telling seems like an attack because everybody want to be right. And it's okay to admit that you're wrong. I've been wrong about a bunch of shit. And I'm gonna be wrong about more things in my life. I would hope, because that means I'm constantly in a state of growth and learning. So like, if you too afraid to like, you know, everybody wants to appear on social media as a master. Everybody wants to appear on social media as an expert, but it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to learn. It's okay to say like, damn, I didn't think about it like that. Maybe I can adjust. You know, new information should bring forth like new perspective, but also, like I said again, we're not dealing with intelligent people all the time. Even people are like, you know, obtuse and like, you know, purposely dense about things where if you don't lay out every little thing, you gotta lay out every little thing. You gotta bounce the ball on every single word for them to act like they understand, because what they like to do is pull context out so they can insert whatever meaning they wanna put on shit. That's also a sign of a lack of intelligence. A lot of people are not that if they are intelligent, they are not showing it. And if they are intelligent, the reason why they're not showing it is because they don't want to be wrong, because they feel like that diminishes their intelligence, when a real true sign of intelligence is being okay with being wrong so that you can be right. Like the pursuit of knowledge means that I got to get some shit done. Can you imagine like all of these great inventors, all of these great innovations, all of these great things that have happened in this country, if the person who was in pursuit of inventing that thing just wanted to be right? Yeah. That means the second they got it wrong, they would have gave up. But they was like, no, it's something here. I just ain't doing something right. You know, being able to be wrong is okay. Like, this is the very like black and white new shit that we are in. This is why we are in a literacy crisis. This is why we are in the decline of our intelligence as a population. Nobody wants to be wrong, which is like a precursor to knowledge. Being wrong. It's a precursor to finding the truth. Like, all these niggas act like they went to school and got hundreds on every test. Like, that shit is goofy as hell. If you go get 100, okay, you go to school tomorrow, you take a test, you fail the test, and the teacher say, I'm gonna let you retest tomorrow. Ain't you gonna do better the second time? Because you know where you went wrong.
Yep.
So you know what parts to focus on. This the parts I need to improve on. Ain't nothing wrong with that shit. But we done got so far removed from education and like systems of education, and we got all these adults that ain't been doing shit with their lives for the last 10, 15 years, but being on the rat race, that are so far removed from this idea of being wrong that they want to get on the internet and be right about every single thing. And that's why it's so much like debate and clash online, because not only are the experts being challenged, but the niggas who have no expertise at all are standing 10 toes on their bullshit. Mm-hmm. And then you got experts arguing with idiots. And experts are passionate about the truth. And it's like, nigga, no, I went to school for this. I have a degree, I'm a doctor in this. You can't argue with facts, but you got idiots who will argue with facts. So it just creates like a weird little climate because nobody wants to be wrong. But also like, by being wrong and defending your wrong stance, you get engagement. You get everybody in the comments telling you you're wrong. Now it gets exciting because I'm getting attention. So let me double down on my bullshit for more attention. It's just weird.
So, the disconnect between who's really who behind these internet profiles and these personas.
That's why I like forward facing. I like
Correct.
people that make their content with their face and
Correct.
with their, you know what I'm
Correct.
saying, with their personality.
Yeah.
Like they put it all out there. That's how I came up. That's the shit I respect. I don't really follow Twitter pages. I don't know where you got that shit from.
And it's also like they've thrown them, like you said, they've thrown themselves into these roles, and then also, you know, they're making a dollar off of it. So everybody's a coach in some form.
That part.
Some form of a lie, they're a coach.
You ain't got none of that shit in my bio. All this shit say is host of Grits and Eggs podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that I'm an honoree on the Route 100, 2025. That's it. I ain't no expert in nothing. I ain't no coach in nothing. I ain't no doctor of nothing. I'm a nigga that was in a truck. I'm a working class man. And working class people can be intelligent too.
Absolutely. Now, just to shift gears a bit into like what's going on today. Now, with all the ICE protests happening, like what do you think people are really reacting to with what's going on right now with ICE?
I mean, it's just more of the same, bro. Like people never thought it would happen to anybody but black people. That's what they used to. They used to state sanctioned violence only happening to black people. So when it happened to people of other races, and you know, like the thing, even with like immigrants and shit like that, it's like voting against your own interests. It's like, you know, like sheeps for wolves. It's crazy, but it's idealistic. Like people want to believe that they're gonna like by being like compliant to the power structure that it's gonna accept them, but it's just here to eat you up. You dig what I'm saying? We talking about people like, especially Hispanic immigrants voting for Donald Trump, who like literally ran on the 2016 campaign on building a wall to keep you out the country. Like that's the same nigga, shawty. It's the same man. So, you know, I think the thing is this country is used to like, it's very numb to state-sanctioned violence against black and brown people, right? Like we watched George, like a lot of people couldn't ignore George Floyd. He got strangled for 9 minutes. But we also forget about Tamir Rice. Like he was 12 years old. He was playing alone in the park. They hopped out and murdered him. You know what I'm saying? Mike Brown, Philando Castile, law-abiding citizen, Second Amendment gun owner, was well within his legal right, got gunned down by the police in front of his wife and his child. Sean Bell, Oscar Grant. You know, these things go on and on and on. Sandra Bland, Sonia Massey, Breonna Taylor. Like these things have happened on and on and on to black people, where the fact that people have gotten numb to it. And also like Americans are used to black people being brutalized. So when it happened to like, when we never thought like, bro, I'm gonna keep it real. I never think they shoot no white lady in the face. I never think they execute no white man. That shit is jarring, but it's also like a sign of complicity. Like you're complicit. So when you're complicit, when it's not happening to you, then when it happened to you, like you really can't be shocked. They start like, this is what I'm saying, like nobody is exempt from fascism. They just start where it's socially acceptable. So if it's socially acceptable over here, by the time we make it to you, you done already gave me your compliance.
So do you think ICE is about a civil issue or an immigration issue?
It's about Donald Trump doing what he said he was gonna do, creating a civil war or creating a hostile environment so he can enact the Insurrection Act so that there won't be an election. Because he's a fucking criminal and he's the most compromised criminal in the Epstein list. And the only way that you can stop the Epstein list from actually facing their consequences is by having a criminal covered up. Because what the fuck border are they protecting in Minnesota? But throughout Democratic history, Minnesota is the only state that's been Democratic the entire time. They've been a blue state their entire existence. That's also a very odd thing. It's also very odd that they went down the street in Atlanta and confiscated 2020 ballots. It's a very odd thing, but it's trying to rig an election, but it's also utilizing, like they've created, they've turned the United States government into an overt criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, like I can hire nobodies to go on the street and terrorize you. A lot of Proud Boys is in the fucking, like, come on, bro. Like, this is not, here's the thing. The destruction of it all is just collateral damage for him. He said, like, there won't be any more elections after this. People be thinking this nigga joking. But everything he said he was going to do before, he did it. Everything Project 2025 said it was going to do is coming to pass. And black people was telling y'all, like, hey, I don't think they're fucking around. I know this lady has a weird laugh, but I think it'd be better than the literal devil being elected. But, here's another thing, too. It's like, this is just, America getting what America puts out. If you're gonna be a white supremacist patriarchal society, then when a Indo-Jamaican woman comes forth, a woman of color, a woman you'll call black, whatever her background is, a black woman comes up with all the credentials and the most qualified to be the president in America versus a white entertainer and a terrible businessman. Every business that he ever touched, he is bankrupt. And like, this literally will show you what this country is. And an overwhelming majority of people voted for this person because woman of color, no matter what her fucking credentials are, can never compete with white men with no credentials. It's just a symptom of the country. It's actually just the country holding a mirror up to itself. This is America.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it, but like you talking about, Shawty had a weird laugh. So? A weird laugh versus a nigga enacting civil war on his own citizens? And y'all thought he was bullshitting? Because every now and then he like tell a little joke. But like, if you go look at his history, like this what he do. So, America gonna get what it's supposed to get, bro. Like, I'm just here as a quiet observer. Yeah. I'm not so quiet observer at that, but this ain't my reckoning. My people been paying the price for America since we've been here. I'm just here, I'm here, I'm a child of this country, whether I want to be or not. But it ain't my reckoning.
So, in talking about kind of where you are and how should, our community and local leadership respond to the ICE situation?
I think
how do you view that, or how do you think it?
I think the mayor of Chicago is doing an excellent job. I think there doesn't need to be negotiation. Because this is the thing too. Regardless of the I told you so, I'm always gonna stand with people. That shit is fucked up. And American citizens or non-American citizens shouldn't die. I don't care. First of all, the idea of a human being illegal is crazy to me. I don't sit with that. So this is another thing too that people don't consider. Like, one person can hold many perspectives and many truths. I can see things many different ways, right? So while I can say bro, we warned you about this, I can also say I don't want this to happen to you. And I don't support it happening to you. I think the mayor of Chicago is doing an excellent job of saying if the federal government won't protect us, then I'll protect us. You know what I mean? I think anybody who is talking about defunding or retraining ICE is absolutely out of their fucking minds. That is a rogue organization at this point. they've gone way out the realm of like what they are supposed to be doing and what they're supposed to stand for. And once you get to a point where you're killing American citizens and like you're in immigration and customs enforcement, yeah, bro, we just need to do away with the whole thing and start over. Pull all them off the streets and start the fuck over, because nothing that immigrants are doing in this country is worse than what they're doing to America right now.
So what?
Because if you don't like immigrants, then stop going to restaurants. If you don't like immigrants, then don't eat produce.
Yep.
If you don't like immigrants, then stop pulling up trying to get cheap labor every time you got a new project you want to work on. Everybody love anybody. See, this is the fucked up thing about this. Like, you got these white farmers and shit that let these niggas convince them of that, and now your labor force gone, and all your crops going bad when it's harvest season because you ain't never had to go out there and do that shit yourself. And now, like, you know, he done sent all the soybean production to Argentina. Like, bro, this shit fucked up, bro. He don't give a fuck about nobody. And like, the second that you think somebody like that sociopathic and that egotistical give a fuck about you, you already in the lot. You already took the L. The L just waiting on you, bro. But I think for me, it's like, you know, we can also acknowledge like the many contributions of immigrants in this country, both like presently and historically, right? And we can also let you know, like, a lot of the industries in America are sustained by immigrants. So if you don't like immigration, like, you don't like produce, you don't like agriculture, and you don't like eating at restaurants. You don't like, you know, you want a maid, but you don't want immigrants here. You want cheap labor, but you don't want immigrants here. You like your construction, you throwing up your fucking condos so you can flip houses and shit like that, but you don't, come on, bro, this shit don't make sense. It's counterintuitive and it's counterproductive. Like, the idea that like people have said, like, I'm losing this country, like, this ain't your shit, bro. You can't own something that you didn't build. If this shit was built off of genocide and enslavement, then anything goes, bro.
Yeah.
And y'all need to be honest about this shit. It's not the fact that you don't like immigrants here, you want enslavement. You want to utilize that 13th Amendment so you could detain people and force them into free labor. It just is what it is, the blueprint. Like I said before, whatever you did to build something, you must do to sustain it. So it's either America topples as an idea and as a corporation, or it's going to sustain itself through human trafficking, through drug trafficking, through enslavement of people and free labor.
Now, speaking on, I appreciate your points on that. I want to get your point of view on what happened, or what we're seeing happen with Don Lyman and him getting arrested while covering the protests.
Oh, Don Lemon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Is it Don Lemon? I might have jotted.
No, you good. Limon.
Okay.
Don Limon.
I always mess up his name. I had a note right here, too. I was like, you going to mess his
Don
name up.
Limon.
Lemon. Don Lemon.
Trying to make sure I'm an immigrant.
Yeah, but, you know, people see that as, obviously it's an obvious personal attack.
Well, this is the thing, though. It's, you know, Don Lemon is a figurehead for independent journalism.
Correct, yeah.
So it's a personal attack, so to speak, but it's really an attack on your freedom of speech and freedom of press. So if they'll arrest the top journalist, I mean, he's one of the most recognized and, you know, tenured journalists in American culture, period.
Yep.
You can call Don Lemon 364 days a week. On New Year's Eve, you know what I'm saying? You gotta let Don be Don.
Yeah.
But them other 364 days, he is the top of his class journalist. He, like, if there was an award, he'd probably be one of the greatest journalists that, like, was ever in America. You know, he one of them ones, bruh. So he did his job. But to make an example out of him is to make an example out of anybody who wants to expose the truth that's going on. That's what journalism is. It's supposed to bring us the truth. It's not supposed to be entertainment. It's not supposed to be the first person to break the story. It's supposed to be rooted in truth and research. It's supposed to be boots on the ground. You go directly to it. And so by arresting him and 3 other black journalists, I mean, of course it was like there's something symbolic about that, because black people have been saying actively, like, we're not putting our bodies on the line. Well, don't put your motherfucking truth on the line either. You don't want to get out here and sacrifice your body and then keep your motherfucking mouth shut. But it's also, you know, to make him an example. If we'll do it to Don Lemon, we'll do it to anybody.
Putting that
But it
fear
should,
in it.
yeah, but it also should be like, you know, it should ignite a fire in you. Like, they scared. People don't act like this when they are in control. Let's remember that. People that are in control do not act like this. These are signs of desperate people. These are signs of people who are losing power and are fear, so they scrambling. And what do scared people do? They tell you all the time, what they tell you all the time, Big Cat? Scared nigga will kill you, right?
Yep.
This is not somebody that's in control. People with empower, people who are confident in what they got going on do not have to go to these measures. They're comfortable in the systems that they put in place. The reason why things seem so chaotic and out of control is because the people who are supposedly in power are losing control. You don't act like this when you're in control. Control comes with composure. Does this seem very composed?
Nah,
It seem like they're scrambling and just doing shit.
It's been like that since he's been in office.
Because they are.
Yeah.
Because what he is there to do is you need a criminal to cover up for criminals. He's the most compromised. So you got to put the person in place that's going to make sure not only that he doesn't go down, but that nobody in his group going to go down. This is why he went in and made, what's the Patel nigga name? Whatever his name is, the head of the
director.
FBI, he
Yeah.
compromised too, bro.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All these niggas are idiots, but he put idiots up there because they're not going to go against them because they've never felt anything in their life. They've never felt powerful or authoritative over anything in their fucking life. Because if you're talking about what our country normally is, like the real FBI of America, the reputation, they would love nothing more than to take all these niggas down.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, we've taken all the seriousness out of our government because all of the people that he's placed in are fucking compromised. Mm-hmm. And he's the figurehead to cover for these compromised criminals. And he's doing anything. They're grasping at straws. This shit is over, bruh. Trust me when I tell you this shit. Everybody that's panicking, they just gotta understand this shit is over, and it's not over for us. They just gonna spill some blood on the way. It's just like drowning. You know, somebody drowning, you can't save somebody because they'll take you down with them. That's what's going on. They're trying to take us down with them. But like, them niggas are, it's over for them. It's not over for us. We don't even live in that type of world, bro. We don't live in like, you know, you gotta think about the pendulum of power and the balance of karma in the universe. Like, this shit you don't never get away with shit. Mm-hmm. You don't get away with shit like this, okay? So the thing is that we may be living in one of the most visible times on earth, period, in human history. We're living in the most interconnected, most visible times on earth, period. And this is prime time for those real chickens to come home to roost. And they're gonna take people down with them, yes. There's gonna be sacrifices made, yes. There's gonna be bloodshed, yes. But people that are in control do not act like this. Criminals act like this. Criminals start grasping at straws and they sacrifice anybody so they won't get caught. And he's willing to sacrifice an entire country so he won't get caught. But this shit ain't sustainable. Look at how the price of gold and silver just plummeted. I think it's like
Yeah.
some $1 billion in like market value. Bro, this shit is over, bro.
Yeah. So
You understand what I'm saying?
Silver went to its lowest, I believe.
This is what I'm saying, bro, because it's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. And what's gonna happen when the world pull out? What's gonna happen when you just like, when there is no more ass to cover? And you just gotta accept your fate. Why start talking about an aging man? This shit ain't, you know, like, the thing is like, the purpose of it is to put you in a state of fear, right? But you name something historically worse, like, you can name, there are so many things historically worse than this that humans have persevered through. Mm-hmm. And what we are is not a part of like just American history. We are a part of human history. And humans have persevered through much worse at much greater sacrifice. So I think that the perspective needs to change. Like, yeah, it is shocking and appalling, but like, don't be shocked and appalled. Like, humans have been shocking and appalling for quite some time. This is not the realm of possibility for humans. We have done some atrocious things to not only each other, but this planet, to animals, you know what I mean, to entire ecosystems. We have been the center of in humans. We could delegate it to white people if we want to, but like we talking about if you macro out and you just look at this shit as a planet and one big living organism, humans are very destructive to this shit. So we've done much worse than this.
Yep.
And this is just a sign of end times for them. So it's, this may be the end, so to speak, but with every end becomes a new beginning. And that's a perspective people need to take on. But at the same time, like, don't be foolish, protect yourself. Now is a great time to pick up a book and a bullet.
I was just gonna ask, who do you suggest people follow in these times as far as leadership?
I think leadership is fickle right now. I think we're being shown that we can't really trust leaders. Mm-hmm. So I think people need to be leaders of themselves, and people need to get back into like community and trusting in the counsel of one another. You know what I'm saying? I think that we've become all very selfish. We don't even want people to help assist us in our parents, and we ain't gonna get everything right. But we grew up in communities, and we have to return to that. And that comes with giving us some like individualistic, selfish ways. But looking to leaders, we're being shown that leaders can't be trusted. So like the last thing we need to look to as a leader, we need to become leaders of ourselves and trusted sources of being reliable within our community. We don't need to look for leaders. We need to look for people we can rely on, within ourselves, amongst ourselves. We don't need to look at no big figureheads, because even with that, resistance and leadership and resistance, what they do time and time again, they kill the head and then the body follows. So, that's not even a sustainable practice for us. I think the most sustainable thing is that you should be able to rely on yourself. You should be able to rely on your neighbor. Become sources of reliance and not leadership. You know what I mean? Lead yourself. Lead yourself. All the information out there in the world, you should be able to trust yourself that you can go research and vet information in a proper way. But you also, like I said before, you got to be willing to be wrong. You got to be willing to open up your mind and change perspective. We also know that like class and race and all of these different things work as constructs to divide. But there's a lot of fucking rubble that we got to get through that destruction, like through the destructive nature of those things before we can get to a baseline with one another. So start with people you can rely on and become reliable yourself. I don't really give a fuck. I learn from everybody. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's okay. And it's like, I learn from anybody, black, white, old, young, child, crackhead, homeowner, homeless. It don't matter. Humans are very wise people. Like we have a history of wisdom. Maybe people don't apply that to their own life, but it's like everything else. Like you take the meat and you spit out the bone. You can do that with literally everybody. And if you around somebody that don't have no tidbit of knowledge or wisdom to offer, you got to get the fuck from around them quick. You know what I mean?
That's the best. That's probably the best I've ever heard that answer. A lot of people have always leaned on leaders and politics to guide them or make them feel good about times like this. And the only thing you got is obviously your word and your intelligence.
Yeah, I think we should like all the leaders can be compromised. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, fuck that. keep doing the same shit over and over. I'm cool.
Yeah, over and over.
The only thing a leader can do is let you down at this point.
That's it. Now I want to switch gears again. Speaking on community, Atlanta, we call it the Black Mecca. Mm-hmm. Where is that label accurate, and where does it fall apart?
I don't know, bro. It's up and down. A lot of people will tell you it's the Olympics that changed Atlanta. A lot of people will tell you, it was the Olympics. It's like one of those things that like corporations don't let go. So once you give any inch up to corporate interests, it's only a matter of time before they get it all. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's been a very dense black population and a very rich black culture historically in Atlanta. I think that those things try to persist, but I think with the influx of people moving here for that Black Mecca, it's kind of diluted and watered it down. There's also the issue of gentrification. I think that there, just have to be honest about this shit. There is no real black Mecca in America. There's just pockets of like very rich black culture. If we don't control the wealth, then who's the Mecca for? Mm-hmm. If we don't control, like, we don't own Atlanta, we just a representation of it. And yeah, there's some very wealthy black people in Atlanta, but we don't own it. We don't control the wealth in Atlanta. Because if you did, then the, wealth transference wouldn't be what it is. Like, I think if you're born in Atlanta, if you're born poor in Atlanta, you got like a 4% chance of making it out of lower poverty class. It's not like Mecca. I think that we just need to be honest. Like, a bunch of black people being somewhere don't make it a Mecca. A bunch of black people being somewhere in, black capitalism don't make it a Mecca. Right. It's just a lot of black people here that's doing well, and there's a lot of black people out here doing really fucking bad. Go to Auburn Avenue. Go look underneath them bridges. Go look at the people that's lining those streets. That's your fucking elders out there. So, if I had a black Mecca, it wouldn't be no black homeless people. I'll tell you that shit. I don't think we need to look to things as a Mecca. I think, this is a great place for opportunity. It's a great place to connect with other black people who are doing great things. But, you can't have a Mecca if you don't own the wealth and the distribution of that wealth. If you don't own Atlanta, then it ain't a Mecca. It's a pseudo Mecca, you know what I mean? It's an idea of a Mecca. But people every day are being bought out and displaced due to gentrification. And if I had a Mecca, I wouldn't be displacing black people. So I think, we just can't get caught up in idealism. We have to look at things as they are. We have to embrace the reality of things, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. We don't need to say things just to make ourselves feel better. That's why we end up in positions like that, because we just want to do things that's like soothsaying and shit like that. Like, it's okay to embrace the reality of things. There are some really wealthy black people in Atlanta. There's some black people that are doing really good for the community. Some black people that's doing really good for themselves. Some black people really building generational wealth. There's also some black people that have been suffering for the last 5 generations and might continue to suffer. So if we're not investing in social programs, if we're not investing in recreational programs for the youth, if we're not investing in, transitional programs for previously incarcerated people, if we're not advocating for trades, if we're not advocating for, just creative black programs like what they got over there at Chattahoochee Hills, like they should have a lot of more Chattahoochee Hills. It can't just be one thing and like, job done. Mm-hmm. We have to find out how to expand those things. I think Atlanta does a lot of great things. Atlanta does a lot of great things. Atlanta is, an innovator and a leader in a lot of different ways for black people. But Atlanta has a lot of flaws and shit like that too, just like anything else. I think we need to focus on a black Mecca. I think we need to focus on a collective communal practice of how we treat one another and what we do with our money. You know what I mean? I think the reason why I advocate for trade so much is because you could be the first successful working class person in your family. There's a lot of firsts still happening. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out here like my age who parents didn't go to college. And there's a lot of people because their parents didn't go to college, they didn't either. And they just working 9 to 5s, or they just working at the warehouse, so they got a criminal record. We ain't in the clear. So I think a lot of people just need to focus on building some type of sustainable, stable lives for themselves. And everybody is not gonna hit the lottery. Somebody's gonna have to be okay toe in the middle so that their kids can make it to that top level or whatever the case may be. I say all the time that I had no expectation to be where I'm at. I was okay driving trucks because I knew by me driving trucks, I was gonna have health insurance, I was gonna be able to have a retirement, and I was gonna at least create a stable environment so my kids could do way better than me. It just so happened I decided to use my voice and give my perspective. And now my kids got 10 times a better opportunity than they had before when I was a truck driver, but at least as a truck driver, they had an opportunity to do better. And I think that that's the goal. We can't be like boomers and shit. Boomers be wanting to do better than their kids and shit. We can't be a generation of people that want to do better than our kids, but say we want our kids to do better than us. Sometimes you're going to have to plant a seed for a tree that you're not going to get to enjoy the shade of. And that's okay. A lot of people made them sacrifices before us. I think if we go back 150 years and go look at our great-grands that was enslaved in this country and they see where we was at now, they would be extremely proud of us. Mm-hmm. So, you know, just keep building and going forward. Like, we have to stop looking for this complete job. We're humans. We're like creating history as we live. Just keep moving forward, keep moving forward. I think we're looking for like this moment where we can say we did it. That's not the way things work. Because as soon as you finish something, somebody's trying to undo it. So you just got to stay like consistent and persistent in your plight of like, what do you want? And if it's an individual thing, like you need to be honest about that. Don't feign it as community. Be cool, like, you know what I'm saying? Niggas will respect that. Like, bro, I'm out for myself. You know, people will respect that.
Yeah, I've heard it before. Yeah.
People will respect it.
Yeah.
It's when you feign that you for everybody that you fuck yourself up. You know what I'm saying?
Because at that point, when you for yourself, it's not really about like, it's about them having their mind made up and set to something.
Yeah.
You want to be able to appreciate that they are trying to be a better person, obviously a better anything that you're trying to work at. So.
I think it's everything else. Like, I advocate for the community. I love the community. And the community also know that, like, I'm not your savior, bro. I'm not trying to be your leader. I'm not trying to be a leader. I'm just trying to be, an example. I'm trying to be one of many. We can all come together as a collective. I still got 3 kids to feed. I got to make sure they straight. I got employees. I got to make sure they straight. I'm not here to save the fucking world. That's like also like an unrealistic thing to put on somebody. All I want to do is change the perspective. I ain't trying to change the world. I ain't trying to I know that I'm not going to change people. Just perspective. Just a different perspective. That's it. Because that's what got me where I am. Just changes of perspective. Ain't nobody changed me. Ain't one thing. There's not one thing that happened where I had this fucking aha moment. It's a culmination of things along the way. Like your mind literally builds off of an accumulation of knowledge. And then they compute that data into one thing. It's like, oh, download, boom. Now your perspective has changed. And then you just keep accumulating knowledge, accumulating experiences, things like that. Once you get enough data, it just download. You got to do an update. You know what I'm saying? But I think this idea of like, I just want to be an example for what's possible. I'm a truck driver. That's just real. They want to break it down bare bones. I don't have no background in media. I don't have no background in entertainment. I'm a father of 3 and a truck driver. I'm a friend, and I put my people on. I'm intelligent, and it's okay to be an intelligent person and also be working class. It's okay to have a troubled past, and you can also still be intelligent. But I think that there's this thing of like everybody's so worried about materials and accolades, and I also very much respect accolades. A part of the reason why I am as studious as I am is because I kind of wish I would have went to college and got a degree. Because I had every opportunity to do that. I just didn't do that. But I also respect people who have degrees and they are, and like, respect them as experts in their right and learn and listen to them. You dig what I'm saying? This ain't about being like the best or the leader or nothing, bro. It's like being one of many. That's like what community and collective is. You gotta look at the Black Panthers, it wasn't one person. Civil rights movement was a movement. It wasn't just one person. So I think like, of course there are gonna be people who shine and are more charismatic than others. Of course there's gonna be people like, that people just fall in love with their charisma and shit like that. But those people also can't get drunk off that. I'm not drunk off that shit. Shit, every time I feel good about myself, a whole group of niggas try to tear me down. So it's like, and I appreciate that. I'm glad that shit happened because it keep me humble. Mm-hmm. It keep me like, no, bro, you ain't above. Like, no matter what, everybody ain't in love with you, bro.
Right.
Everybody don't love what you're doing, and that's okay. So whether it be religious people one day, whether it be men the other day in Red Pill, whether it be the FBA today, it'll be somebody else tomorrow. And I'm still gonna be who the fuck I am, and I'm still gonna pursue this path that I'm on. Relentlessly.
Now I had 2 more questions for you, but you gathered them up in that response, and I appreciate it. My very last question, and you just spoke very eloquently about it, is if people walk away remembering one thing, from this conversation, what do you want it to be?
Treat it like art. Take what you're gonna take